I'm Shailyn, and in this video you're going to see how I did the bamboo bodice. So for this video you're going to need a bodice pattern piece with one waist dart, a pen or pencil, extra paper, and tape. The concept is pretty simple. Basically what you're doing is you're adding to the pattern to create pleats or darts. The first thing you want to do here is you want to draw your design line on your pattern piece. So this is just a full bodice pattern piece with one waist dart, and I'm going to make my marks, my design lines on where I want the pleats to go. So the first two design lines or pleats have to reach the end of the dart point. I'm just making it from the dart point to the bottom of the pattern piece here at the bottom of this dart to make it a little bit easier. And then your next pleat or design line is again going to end at this dart point. Now for me, I like to make everything pretty even on both sides, so I'm actually going to mark an inch from the center on each side. I want to make my design line a little bit to the side so it looks more like an overlap in the center of your body rather than an exact middle point of your body. So now that you've created your first two pleats or design lines that end at the dart point, you're going to make the rest of them. I do want to pause right here and tell you that your design lines can be anything you want. You can have as little or as many lines as you want. So in this one I have 5 lines marked for all the different pleats, and in this one I believe I have 8. So you can do as many or as little as you want, and you can do it in any direction. You don't have to have it going inwards towards the bottom. You can have it going upwards towards the top. So it's all up to you as a designer, so feel free to do whatever you want once you get the hang of this technique. First things first, you're going to want to close your darts into your pleats. So how you're going to do that is you're going to cut right on this design line at the bottom, the first pleat. You're going to take excess paper and you're going to trace out your first triangle, making sure to leave excess at the bottom here. So what I'm going to do to make this easier, I'm going to make this mark, and I'm going to mark all 3 points of this triangle. And I'm going to trace that line and cut it out. So to make it easy on you guys, I'm just going to color it in. And I'm going to mark where the pleat goes. So the pleat is going to go up towards the center of the bodice. And before I tape it together, I'm going to fold it in half. And this will make it easier for the next step. You'll see why. Unfold, and now tape this and close your bodice. Fill in your bodice. Alright, so now that you've filled in your bodice, you're going to fold your first pleat over. And this is why I told you to fold this right here. It makes it easier. And so this first pleat is actually just moving the shaping from this dart over to this pleat. And now you're not going to want this extra piece right here. because when you start making your pattern pieces and when you start making your folds, you don't need all this excess. So we're just going to cut this out. And now before you cut out your next design line, you need to extend it from this point all the way into the pleat that you just created to the center. You're also going to draw a line right in the center of that pleat. Makes it super easy because we already folded it over. Now we can cut out this wedge. And you're going to just move this over here and close that dart again. And then now you're going to get your piece of paper again and you're going to close up that bodice piece. Like I said, I like to just use the edge of the piece of paper because it's already straight. That way I don't have to draw two lines. And you're going to mark the 3 points of the triangle. And again, make sure to leave a little bit of excess at the bottom here for seam allowance. And you're going to take your new wedge and you're going to fold it in half. Again, to make it easier for when you fold your pleat. Open that back up and put that back in. And then you're going to fold your new pleat down. Made this too thick. Use better tape than me. This is making it really hard on me. I used painter's tape. Note to self, don't do that. Alright, finally. So now that I have folded this piece over, you will see that there's that little bit of a seam allowance, that excess right here. Obviously you can't have that when you fold the pieces over, then you'll have too much bulk in your waist and you don't want that. So we're going to cut that out right here where that dart center is. No excess at the dart center, so when you fold it, it's just going to be perfectly in there. And you have your new dart, or your new pleat. So this is what your pattern now looks like. You have your first two pleats from the darts, the shaping, and then the rest will just be normal pleats. There's not going to be any shaping. You're not going to have to worry about that anymore. So this next design line, you're going to extend all the way down to the center of that pleat that you created. And then you're also going to draw that center, that fold in that pleat, right in the center there. And you're going to cut that out. Now, you do not want to cut this off. You want to leave a little bit of space there. That way you don't actually cut out that piece. In the book and on all the YouTube tutorials that I've seen, when they tell you to make your pleat and open it up, they tell you to do something at least 3 inches or 8 centimeters. The problem with that is if you have something like this pattern piece, because your bodice is going to be different than the one that they're using, is it doesn't always work. See how this doesn't completely open up like these other pieces did? That's going to cause an issue for when you create all your other pleats. So in this example, I made the pleat pretty small, right here. I added a small pleat right here and folded it over and cut out the piece. But when you open it back up, that pleat overlaps with the other pleat. since there's that little bit of overlap right here, you're going to have to cut something right there on your fabric. For a pattern that's this complicated, you're not going to want to mark all these different lines and start making all these random snips. So you want to make sure you open it up so it's big enough to go past this pleat. So my rule of thumb personally is to open it up to at least the end here. You can make it bigger, but any smaller like this, and you run the risk of having that overlap into this and then not being able to have enough fabric to fold in. So I'm just going to open it up a little bit more and do what I've been doing, which is making that triangle to close that gap. And again, I've marked the 3 points of the triangle so I can create that triangle with a little bit of excess here at the bottom. Now that that's taped, you're going to want to fold your pleat over again. Now this pleat will be easier to fold over because this one was not created by any darts. It was created by just opening up the pattern piece. And then snip this off like usual. And this is exactly why you want to make sure that the pattern piece is open a little bit more. You want something like this where it's completely flush. And now onto the next pleat. Like we've been doing, we're going to want to extend this design line, this pleat, into the middle of this one. And then we're going to want to mark that middle line right here that we folded over. And again, we're going to cut all the way up until just the edge of the pattern piece. Open up this dart, this pleat. Like I said, until you have a nice edge. So if I were to open it up here, I'm going to have a problem in this pleat because there's going to be that overlap. So you're going to want to make sure this opens up enough to where this does not overlap this one. Once we've opened it up so there's no overlap in the pattern piece, you're going to want to close that pleat. And like I've been doing, mark the 3 points of the triangle. So you can make your triangle and cut it out. Then we're going to have one more design pleat. And that is your final pattern piece. Ta-da! If you want to know what this looks like, you can fold all your pleats over. Again, these bottom pleats are where your shaping from the darts came from, so that's why your pattern piece is shaped. This is what your pattern will look like. I just did the 2 colors like I showed you with my other dress. Right here. And basically what we're going to do from here is we're going to fold the pleats over. Cut a little notch every time there's a pleat. So basically I would have cut a notch right here, right here, right here, and right here, so I could sort of see where my pattern gets folded. I didn't do that because I actually want to sew the pleats down. So you get this really clean look right here because I sewed my pleats down, so they're more like darts. You don't have to do that if you want the actual open pleat look. So like I said, I will be closing these down and I will be stitching them all the way down so it looks a little cleaner. The technique is really for a pleat. So what the technique is going to look like is it's going to look more like this. So there's going to be a bit of an opening from the pleats like this. So that's what you're going to end up getting. On the back, you're going to have to stitch right down here. So you're going to end up stitching the raw edges of the pleat. And this is the same for if you do just a one-piece pattern instead of a two-tone. You're still going to have to stitch the pieces, the raw edges down right here in the middle. That way, when you have this dress on, and the pleat opens up, you're not going to have like a hole in your dress. So again, you're going to stitch right down the raw edges to close those holes made from the pleats up. I really like the look of the bamboo bodice with the pleats stitched down, so I figured I'd show you guys how that looks, as well as show you guys that you can have a bamboo bodice with multiple colors instead of just having it all on one color. This is all on you as a designer, as a maker. You can do whatever you want with this kind of technique. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it was super helpful for you guys on how to create this bamboo style bodice. I would love to see what you guys make from this video. Feel free to send me pictures on Instagram or on here. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel.